Good evening, Ted.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mike. Oh,
Good evening.
looks like Grizzly Adams there a little bit. We should put Dennis's picture behind Mike, and then
I know. I don't know how you can decide the order.
yeah, I think it's who signs in, because I know Mike was in before me. I think it's how you sign in, but no, Mike wouldn't be ahead of Karen, so I'm not sure.
Not sure.
All right, I have 6 o'clock.
Okay, so I'll get the recording going.
Order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Any deletions, corrections to the agenda? I have one. Item number 4 was on the agenda, and today we received an email from the developer's attorney asking for it to be pulled off for them to get more time to be able to put together some information for the Board of Trustees. So Karen sent a note out, but we've taken it off. In its spot, I'd like to put proposed Eagle Scout projects. And then under roundtable, there will be deer culling. And then executive session will be advice of counsel for personnel matter as well. So 2 things under executive session.
Can we,
Any other change?
yeah, can we add in the class of 21 email I sent everybody this
Yeah,
week?
we'll do that under roundtable, okay?
Fair enough.
Hey, Mark, deer culling is going to be under executive session or under roundtable?
No, under roundtable.
Oh,
No,
okay.
just- The executive session will be for personnel matter and advice of counsel.
Oh, okay.
Any other changes, additions, corrections? Okay. Next, we'll move on to the meeting minutes of January 25th, 2021.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
second.
Moved and seconded by Pam. Any discussion? Changes, deletions? I have 2, Lori.
Yep.
Under the FEMA grant for COVID, we should put the share, what our share is, so we have a record of it.
Okay.
And then the Historic Preservation Commission Associate Member, and that was the recommendation of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay.
That's the only changes I have. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is abstract 15 dated today in the amount of $35,985.50.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Dan, did you get a chance to go through these?
Yes, I did.
You're good?
I'm okay.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is, we've been working with the local Boy Scouts, and we've been giving a few projects, the dog park, rebuilding the watersheds in Duguid Park, working on cleaning up the Ledger Dyke Canal along the library and along Beard Pond, producing some handicapped picnic benches for our parks. And then the one that this young scout has picked is expanding our gardens at the community gardens at the senior center. We seem to have run out of the ones that we made. So Jacob Lutz is looking, he goes to FM schools. I met with him on site. We reviewed it. And he is following up on whether this works or not, because he has a lot of paperwork to do. So I want to make a motion that we go ahead and add these, as many as we can, while it still fits the character of the area and it works without taking away. We don't want to put them in there just to put them in there, but we want to put enough in there that will work, and we can get more people using those gardens up at the Fayetteville Senior Center. So I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? And if anybody has any other Eagle Scout ideas, please let me know. Pat and I have discussed a few of them. I just keep a list on my desk in the office, just to keep, up to date on any of these projects. So I think the next one, we have another scout that's trying to do the Duga dog park. And then we have one that's interested in the handicap picnic tables. So I think those are all worthwhile projects the village can get behind. Okay, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Number 5 is the review of the Public Employee Health Emergency Plan. And Lori has been working with Paul and Pat on this. This plan has been developed in accordance with the amended New York State Labor Law, Section 27C, and New York State Education Law, paragraphs K and I of subdivision 2 of Section 2801-A, as amended by Section 1, part of B of Chapter 56 of the laws of 2016. The plan has been developed with input of the Fayetteville Career Firefighters Association and Teamsters Local 317, as required by the amended New York State Labor Law. No content in this plan is intended to impede, infringe, diminish, or impair the rights of us or valued employees under the law, rule, regulation, or collective negotiated agreements, or the rights and benefits which accrue to the employee through collective bargaining agreements, or otherwise diminish the integrity of the existing collective bargaining relationship. And then it just talks about the authorized official, and that's me. But this is a draft as it's watermarked. I know Lori has been working on this. So I will turn it over to Lori. She can give a little bit of a background. And then we can go with the next steps that we have to go through, Lori.
Well, essentially, back in September 1st, Governor Cuomo said we have to put together a public emergency plan having to do with pretty much not just COVID, but for any communicable disease. And in that, he outlined, I believe there was about 10 bullet points that he outlined that we had to address each one of these items. So I met with the department heads to go over the different things, the components of what needed to be in that plan. And the plan is in a draft form because it also has to go to the unions and be reviewed by them for review and recommendation. They don't have to approve it. They just have to be allowed to review it. They can give recommendations. We don't have to necessarily take their recommendations. I know that Joe Chernesky, the president of the Firefighters Association, Career Association, looked at it. He didn't see any issue with it. I haven't heard anything back from the DPW. But all in all, it had to be a standalone policy that could work along with our already existing pandemic plan, but it's a live document, just like the pandemic plan. So we can change it and adjust it as we need to. So that's pretty much really what it is. It talks to things about PPE. If somebody tests positive, what will the village do? What is our protocol? Most of it falls back to the mayor, and a lot of it will come back to the village clerk's office because we act as an informal, human resource department. So as far as people being out in doctor's notes and getting different things like that. And it sounds like a lot like COVID, but it's for any communicable disease.
Okay.
And what we will do in the event that we have issues come up.
What has NICOM said, Lori, on this?
Say that again?
What has NICOM said?
NICOM has actually been pretty good. I actually did a webinar with them on this. John Mancini hosted it, and then he had an outside agency that actually is writing a lot of these for some, and they were fine with it. Their biggest concern was the timing. When the governor put it into effect, he was only giving like 30 days, and they pushed it and made it. We have to have it, I believe it's by April 1st. It has to be completed. So it had to be like I said, to the unions by February 4th, completed and done by April 1st. So they seem supportive of it, but you don't, and it's a living document. You don't want to make it so you've just, made it so difficult, that you can't change it, but they seem to be in support of it.
Okay. So what I was thinking is that I've made a couple notes, but I know you guys have only had this for a couple days. I will add this to the next agenda if there's any items that you guys want to review or change or make comments. We did give this draft to the like Lori said, to the unions, and it is a working document. So if you guys have any suggestions or ideas, like I have seen one in here, that I just want to make sure that we're clear with Ted on. It's on page, just to give you an example. Oh, right here. Maintenance of public works and infrastructure. It talks about the DPW service establishes all priorities and takes the Department of Public Works. And then, I mean, what about priorities that may be set by like the governor's office when the governor sets a state of emergency and something may change? You know, we had that already with our garbage and recycling. The governor set out a thing and said both have to be done. So I just want to make sure we get that clear, who has the authority to make some of those decisions, whether it's the DPW superintendent, the mayor, or the governor. So I just think that should be spelled out in some of these areas. So, okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to do, Lori?
No, that's exactly what you're doing. Review it, and if you see, you know, and that can just all be wording. However, you know, we can say, you know, whatever what you just said and how we word it. So,
A perfect example of that is I think the board should set the priorities as the elected leaders of the village. You know, we should set the policies and procedures of, you know, what we think is the vital services that need to be done, not the, you know, not the DPW superintendent, or obviously he's got input, but the governor.
right, yeah. So we can, yes, exactly. Just those things were, it's a pretty lengthy document. So, yeah, so definitely, I didn't think I was going to get it 100% on the first draft, but
Well,
yeah.
I appreciate, I know Pat and Paul and you worked on it, and so I appreciate that. So I'll add that to the next agenda along
Okay.
with Village Street Speedway. That'll be on the next agenda, so we can discuss that.
Lori, did you send that? Lori, did you send that to us?
I did not send that draft to you. I can do that though.
I thought I had forwarded it to
Karen did.
everybody.
Aaron did, yes,
It was?
Yes,
yes,
and I can
Okay.
print out a hard copy as well.
Okay, I didn't remember it.
yep. Yeah, I gave her a copy. When I got the draft from Lori, I CC'd all the trustees. Karen scanned it and sent it to all of you in an email. Okay, next is DPW. Mike?
Okay, so we have Pat's memo list here, and most of the things are ongoing as typical this time of year. DPW is still under lockdown, just like the Village Hall and other departments due to the COVID. But if anyone needs anything, they're welcome to call the DPW at 315-637-6065. Perhaps blue bins or other concerns or needs. If the call is not answered because they're out doing work, that will be answered soon thereafter. Beard Park Pond finally has had some ice and some ice skaters. If people don't realize it, that once the ice forms, if we get snow like we have now, the snow acts as an insulator, drawing the water through the ice up to the top and creates a slushy condition. So there is some areas that are clear on the pond, but some are slushy where it can't be cleared exactly. And so we're working with nature the best we can to provide as much time and availability for skating to people as possible. Ongoing projects and items is the Ledyard Dike at the 92 bridge with the weeds, which will be taken care of obviously in the springtime. The same with the path from Cashin Drive involving the park for the play area, and the tree that was taken down from Bartlett will be removed when the weather is more conducive to do that. The same with the finishing the sidewalk project from the Craftsman Inn up Mott Road, and things that have been worked on as much as possible at this point in time. Again, obtaining permissions and reviewing things with people, but we need the weather to complete the actual project itself. It's the same with the Limestone Bishop Brook Restoration Grant. I don't know if you have any more information on that, Mark, or not, but.
No, that's, we're out.
We're out to bid, yeah.
The next meeting, we should have results. I know that 4 people picked up the bid packages so far.
Yeah. Same with the bridges on Walnut Street and West Franklin Street, and then the right-of-way permit.
The bridges, just so you know, that the state put out a bridge program. So Bartlett Judas called, and we are having a grant put out. It's an amazing, I think it was 97%, and we come up with 3. or something. The number was
Yeah,
just,
it was that good, Mark. It was a very good grant.
so Lori told me it was okay to try to go get them.
There you go.
Uh,
Oh, that'd be
But
good.
that's
If we can
a
get
good
things.
one, that's a
fixed for
good
them.
one to go after. So,
He does have, I have one purchase that he has on here, and that is for exhaust fans and motors, exhaust the exhaust from vehicles in the building and things like that down there. With
hey,
a,
Pat, can you unmute for a second?
Yep.
Is there any chance these motors, I've seen them where they take these motors and they go to KJ Electric and have them rewound? I don't know, Dennis, if you've had to do that, your pool motor, but I had to do that. I've done that a couple times. Somebody gave me that idea and I sent it over and I literally saved hundreds of dollars. The pump, the motor was fine. It just needed to be rewound.
Could be. These motors have been on that building since it was new in 1980. So
Yeah.
I'm
I'm just
just
wondering
going
if
by
there's
the
a shop-
guys told me.
Yeah. Can we at least try and see if that can be done? We'll prove this, but if there's a way to save some money, just get them rewound.
Yep.
Okay. So Mike, you
I'll
want
make a
to,
motion that we would approve this based upon what was just said, that if there's a lesser expensive way to fix what we already have, that we would pursue that first, looking at not only the cost savings, but also it may be less to do it that way, but if it's not going to be good longer term, you know what I mean? Like, there's no sense of paying money to fix something if it's going to break again in a shorter period of time as opposed to replace it. So we got to look at both aspects of that, but that's a good idea to look into it first and see.
absolutely. I think we've gotten our money's worth out of those motors, but if there's a chance and then someone says, hey,
Yeah,
they don't build it
if,
that way
like you
anymore.
say, if they can be rewound and work for another 10 years or something, then that might be the way to go. So I'll make a
Mike,
motion
make a
up
motion. We need
to
a
spend up
second.
to the 2770.
So 2780, and that's Comfort Systems.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else for the DPW?
I just have one quote that I got, and I just got it today. It's from J&J Landscaping, so I will get it to you and the board for review. A couple of members of the Parks Committee, and actually I was calling Pat White at J&J for a different matter, but
Is
he
everybody
was talking, what's that?
I lost
Somebody-
you for a second there.
Oh, okay. So he sent me a proposal. There's some brickwork around the pond itself where some of the children or whoever have been taking the bricks out and throwing them in the pond and different things. I think he's talked, Pat knows about it, different things. This is a proposal to, repair and replace the bricks basically that have been taken out. And he's saying once he sands these in with a polymer sand, that they will not be able to be just pried out or whatever. I don't know if we used the polymer sand in there initially or not, but it's just for your information. Obviously, the work wouldn't be done until springtime. So I'll get a copy of this to everybody. It's just because I was having a conversation with Pat about something else that this topic came up, and I told him to put something together to give us an idea what the cost might be. And we'll look at it farther, but just that's what I have for the.
Okay, good. Number 7, Trustee Kinsella, applications for the fire department.
Yes, we have 4. Jack Middleton, who's interested in being a firefighter. So move.
Second.
All the background checks are in.
Everything on all these, yes.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next, Dan.
Brian Sizing and EMS, so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Jennifer Sweet, EMS and administrative records, so move.
Second.
Moved by Dan, seconded by Pam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Doug Speck, firefighter, so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Dan, had he applied before?
I think so. Everything
All in
is.
favor? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else for the fire department?
No, I know Pam sent a nice note back to Paul about an incident they had up at nearby the Y, and everybody got a copy of that. And maybe that's a good idea to have Paul do that once in a while and keep us informed.
Yeah. You all can get too. I don't know if Dan, if you have it on your phone or not, but I get the text messages of all the calls. That one came out as a washing machine fire. And the police got on the scene and said fully involved. And I'm like, how can a washing machine be fully involved on the outside of a building? Turned out it was the Kubota tractor, but I think it was good. Yeah, Dan, and I think it's good that he continues to, hopefully we don't have too many incidents like that, but the ones when we do, I think it's a good idea to highlight those. So, yeah, that was at 3:56 in the morning. So, you know, and he did a nice job. And if you listen to him, it took him a second to get out, and I asked him what was going on. He says his car was covered with snow. He was home, so he wasn't on duty. Okay, Pam, communications update.
Mark, whenever you talk, there's a lot of static on the line. Is that just my speakers?
I'm not hearing it, Pam, but I'm one of a bunch, so I'm not.
Okay.
But just so you know, I'm just
Okay, I wanted to make sure that everybody could hear me properly because I heard some also when you spoke, Mike.
Oh, okay. No, I'm hearing everybody really good on my computer, but that's me. I don't know about everybody else.
You're coming across loud and clear, Pam.
Okay, I have a good amount to share with y'all, and I'm going to share my screen here this is a little bit mainly for myself, but also yourself so that you can follow if you have any questions, what I'm talking about. So as a committee for communications, we've now met 3 times, and mainly we are condensing our information that we're researching through to be social media, the website, and the newsletter. There are a few thoughts that we've compiled as a committee to let you know some of the feedback we've had as we looked over it. Our social media is one that, you know, it's pretty much giving the proper information about the community events and things such as that, but perhaps some suggestions have come around that we could do perhaps a quarterly photo contest with the citizens, like that has to do with seasonal changes, highlight a local hero. And in addition to different things we could post on there, we should look to tag other organizations to make sure that their web pages and our web pages are sharing more information so that we aren't having to sit and spend all of our time on the social media and chase down things that if we just have a repost app or a tag, we can include Chamber of Commerce, Library Senior Center, DPW, Matilda Gage, all of these different organizations could also be showing up on our pages and us on theirs. There is, we talked also about having probably more video on Facebook. Right now, as you probably know, Kelly Gagin is taking care of our Instagram, and she takes really good photos for that. Next, we talked about our website. Our website, we have talked about what our purpose is of our website, and that for sure it's a government information of our boards and meetings and applications, but also citizen access for permits and such. And also it should include information about Fayetteville and the history and such. But we want to, what does it need to maybe function? more or to increase that function. I'm sorry. We talked about whether or not the website could be tweaked a little bit, whether or not a search bar could be included, as well as whatever, we find that there's plenty of information there and it's fairly easy to find. But could there be a search bar included so that you can just put in a word and grab it a lot quicker? Should there be frequently asked questions posted on there, including more things to stoke civic pride and newcomers to come to our village? So we want it to be for the person who spends more time looking for things that they need to find, or people who are just on there for a minute getting a short amount of information. We haven't as yet done enough research for our website. We are going to, as a committee, give ourselves, say, 5 to 8 items so that we can go out and research it and see that we find these things properly. It's also been suggested that maybe we do a survey so that we can find out if everybody in the community is finding everything, and if not, what should we do about that? I also forgot to go back here where it says newsletter. Even though we have been looking at social media, website, newsletter, I haven't gotten much, or we haven't covered yet much regarding the newsletter, but I'm going to get back to that in a second.
Okay.
Anything so far? No questions?
No, just always think about, I see it on the bottom there, budget, think about, I'm starting to put the budget together, so.
Yes, so this is the part where we had done a little bit of looking into whatever we need for a content management system, that maybe something can be added onto the website, or if money needs to be allocated into the website to do more. One of these things that we looked into, Karen and I got into a Zoom meeting with something called Text My Gov. It is a communication that is between the website and the user. And these days we have apps, we have all these different ways of going things. If you are looking for something on a Google search engine and you put in one word, you might get 10,000 choices for just that one word. But something like this system you are able to connect just between your phone and the website. And say you want to find out about leash laws, or a missing dog, you can type in the word dog. You can type in a whole sentence that says, I've noticed a lost dog. And it will walk you through a variety of things. It can either bring you to a search, something that on your phone that you would click on, and it would take you right to the website and it would give you information, or it would ask you other questions, like say you had put in lost dog. It would say, well, where did you see this? And you could put in the streets. And then it would ask if you wanted to give your name, and it would also ask if you want to download a picture at that time. So there's multiple things that you can do to improve that. And whereas our animal control is outsourced, it goes directly to them. So this is a really, go ahead.
Sort of. So basically, you get assigned a phone number that's dedicated to your organization, i.e. the village, and you put that in your phone. And then from that point forward, you can text a question and or a keyword, and it will link to either our website directly that has that information, because we'll have pre-established presets, and it will either direct you to a phone number that could address that, such as the dog control, because it's not within our organization, or it will bring you to a link within, let's say, our code book online or on the website. And it keeps track of the texts that come in and the types of searches that people are looking for. So you have a log of things that people are looking for, and then you can update them accordingly, or you can add where you might not have a direct link for them yet because it wasn't a question ever thought of before. It's customizable, but it's all
Thank you
web-based.
for adding that, Karen. I was, that is very notable that we can customize it, and on the end where Karen is, or the village staff, they see the words that are texted in and they can be monitored, they can be added upon. So there's one primary word and then a secondary word that would notice what you are trying to ask and it can also tell you that it doesn't recognize what you are asking.
So you might have like a default answer, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. And the other wonderful thing about it is, Mark, you had mentioned in the past of something along the lines of a reverse 911. And communication like this has a city alerts option. So if, like Karen said, the user is opted in by having that phone number in their phone, if there is a need to shut off the water in an area or something occurs that is, just as simple as our events or something, it will notify that person.
Yeah, Karen was showing me some of the features. I mean, I've always thought that that's a better way. Like Dan had brought up a point about when we changed garbage days during the holidays, and we would put stickers out. Now we could say to all these people, send out an email and say, or a text and say, hey, if you're on Tuesday's route or whatever, you're going, you'll be on Friday, and it'll lessen the calls. Plus, people will know what's going on. I think anything we can do we just got to have. We've tried it a little bit with trying to get people's emails. Sometimes they're hesitant to give us their email. So I hope they're not
Well, and that
hesitant.
might have changed now. At the time, you're right. And I think maybe if we revisited the emails, that might be effective, but I think people actually have gone beyond that and prefer texting.
Yeah. No,
Well, right. And if you look about the future of all of these things, they eventually will all come around to bringing us to a web base. Whether, like, let's say you wanted to change the way the newsletter is distributed and have people be attracted to see it on the web base, we could ease into like giving them a smaller amount of information in something that we deliver to their houses, and then we could say that you could go on our website to see the rest of this information or story, and it sort of eases them toward that. But
or mail a postcard at something.
Yeah.
Like the newsletter's ready, put a couple teasers.
Yeah, just so that it isn't a waste to be able to try to consider that this technology is something for everybody. We want them to notice it, but any one of these systems that we look into, of course, they have ways of helping your community get to know that. Another one that I did look at, something that was an app. There wasn't that much that I could get into it without getting on a Zoom with it, but the TextMyGov is you don't have to download it, or I'm sorry, not downloadable.
It's not an app. It's not an app.
It's not an app. It's web-based, and then there are downloadable ones, but these days you are going to get more and more apps, and it's just a little bit clustery. So it is kind of more attractive to have non-downloadable. The other thing I looked in extensively at is the Civic Plus that is also being used by Manlius and the Village of Manlius. And I believe you said Manoa as well, right, Karen?
I think so. I know that they have changed their website.
They too have something along these lines where they start with a website, but then they give you all of these options that you could utilize, or you didn't have to, but it could be something that had to do with phone connection. But that would be something that, frankly, if we wanted to talk about any of these things, it would probably behoove the board to have a Zoom meeting with them, or to be able to, at least Mark, you can look into what you feel your approval is on. After looking at all of it and some of the costs, I understand that we have a contract coming up for our current website. Is that correct?
No, I never got a chance to look into it. It is on a contractual basis, but I don't know the timeline, and
Yearly?
I would imagine it runs with our fiscal year.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, around, I know that the TextMyGov comes in at around $3,000 a year with a $1,000 one-time only application to get it up and running. Things like Civic Plus, they cost around, my understanding, this is a good ballpark, $9,000 for the first year and then $2,000 a year thereafter. So it looks like anything we look at, and looking at other things that I just teased over the internet, runs around $3,000 to $4,000 a year. So I think we have to just ask ourselves, is there an affordable option? Do we keep staying the way that we are and, or get something a little more for the long haul?
This is just my opinion. I think we should see what the costs are and see if we can afford to do it. But I think anything we spend is going to be well worth the involvement of getting more and more people knowing what's happening. Everybody that's here and everybody that's on the call tonight knows what's going on and knows how busy we are and knows what we're doing. But that's a very minute part of how many people could be, given that information. So I think, we should look at that and see what we can do. I just think it's something that's worth, the more people we can get information to, the more people we can get involved, the more people we can get to go to the events, the more people that can be educated on what's really happening, the better it's going to be for everybody involved.
Are you saying that we could say that amount of money for our budget coming up?
We're going to have to look. Obviously, we're going to have to look and make some priorities. But if you said to me, now, Mike, this is nothing against the flower pots, but if you said to me, hey, we could spend $5,000 on this and let everybody know what's going on and cut the flower pots down by 15, I would say that's more important than 15 flower pots. I'm just saying, I think Karen said it a little bit earlier. You've said it before. I've mentioned it to you. We've got to figure out a better way to communicate.
Well, can I
just say one thing? I think, it would also, I like the idea of a survey, because we could get a feel for the residents. I know we have certain residents that have asked for more communications and better communications, and we on our side want to provide whatever that communication is. And if it's one of these ideas, I'm all 100% behind doing that. But
we definitely will be planning on doing.
Yeah, I just wonder how many people, or if we might get better ideas from some of the people that we survey, if, especially the people that are interested in finding out this stuff, if they have some ideas too that might help us and figure this out too.
We need to hope that everybody will answer that survey, but we definitely plan on doing a survey to precede all of this.
But and that
I was just thinking that the survey the people that are going to respond to the survey would be the people most likely to use this, so they might be able to give us better ideas about what we would provide or how we would provide.
It'll give us a better guidance.
What they're looking for, more or less, you know what I mean? And how they can, that'll be all part of the survey, I'm assuming, is different options of what we're looking at.
It's a good place to start. It'll give us, help us focus, the survey will guide us to where we need to focus.
Right. Mark, one of the ideas I had in my mind was I asked about how much it costs to create the newsletter every year. And if we go out 3 times, my cat is in the.
I know, I just saw her.
Sorry, it's not a ponytail for me. If we we're printing it 3 times a year like we typically do, and it's around $1,000 each time. That's $3,000 a year right there.
Mhm.
And although the newsletter is an extremely tantalizing thing for people to get in their mailbox or on their mailbox, that isn't a bill, that is, it's something special. It's something fun that we look forward to seeing. But, who knows if a nice text from the village won't outweigh that at some point. So that was a cost that I just was considering or asking you to consider.
Yeah, I'm going to have Lori see if we can create a communications line item sheet for the budget, and then we'll
Okay.
try to figure out what we can do budget-wise to make it work. But don't forget, and I know Dan's got a look on his face, don't forget, not everybody has text, or like my father-in-law, forget it. He's just not, if it isn't in front of him and he can't read it, he doesn't have a cell phone, he doesn't have a computer. He gets
There is
mad.
absolutely no reason why these days that we couldn't keep a composite of those addresses and send it to them. What is that? That's not going to be any trouble. I'll do it myself.
No, I'm saying, but to get those who they are, I think there's a
Yes.
set of population that just likes that. Look at the senior
Hopefully
center.
we
They
can
could-
find them. Yeah.
Yeah, they mail
You
out a
know-
newsletter once a month. You know what I mean? Why do they do that? That's what
Mark, this might be a Eagle Scout project. The door-to-door survey to get, to find out what we have as far as our demographics, what we have out there. That's an effort,
Very civically responsible.
right?
Yeah, I like those ideas.
Because by the looks of it, we're not going to get our data back on, on the census until later in the year now.
Right.
Does anyone have any questions for me?
Yeah, I got, in order to do text messages or emails, you're going to have to get everybody's email or their phone number to text.
No, you don't. No, you don't. The person takes their phone and puts the number in their phone. It's in their contacts.
We have to advertise it. You would advertise, here's another way to reach us. So like we do with our email, with our website address, we would put it on our website, on Facebook, different ways, say, here is a phone number that so you can text us when you have a question or a concern. It's
And
another
once-
means to reach us.
Once they put that number in their phone, they've opted into the system.
So
It gives them the option, yeah.
It
Right.
gives them the option to get the city alerts.
we,
So
the village alert.
yes,
Correct.
the village alert. I
So
call
we-
it city alert because that's just
We
the
have
phrase.
to convince them that by them putting that in their phone, it's not going to any way make a bad situation for them. Okay,
There's a new population out there that uses that all the time. It's that type of communication, so.
It's pretty updated.
Yeah.
Pretty
And I'll give
safe.
you a perfect example, the hydrants, rather than have the volunteers and the firefighters go out and shovel the hydrants, I sent out a little tweet. I only have 200 followers, or 250 followers. So I had Karen put it on the website, but that 200, 500 people read it when we should have had, there's 4,000 residents. Hopefully they could have gone and would have relieved the burden of the firemen going out to shovel their, and they've been out for 3 days in a row, shoveling them out and doing their best. But that's just a perfect example of a nice thing we could have sent out and said, help your firemen, clear your hydrant 3 feet around, within your house. And I guarantee the residents of this village would have stepped up and done that.
I like what the
Or
village
it's leaf
plan-
season. Can we, truck's going to be in your neighborhood. Here's a text, just like we talked about earlier, or, hey, if you have any concerns, please text us at this stuff, things like that. I just think.
I kind of like the idea that people are putting their number in or calling the number and like kind of register, if I'm understanding it right, they're kind of like registering or whatever, signing up for this, and then they'll get the notifications as opposed to us having to enter information and perhaps enter it, miss a number or do something wrong in the system. It sounds like they're kind of responsible for signing in, if I understand it right.
Correct.
And then they get the
That is
notifications
correct.
that way. So
And say they don't wish to be registered to have things come to them, it doesn't stop them still from using that number, typing in a word or say, I want to pay my bill. I want to, give me some other examples of, we had already talked about the Leafs and different things. Karen, what's another?
When does the Memorial Day parade start or something? You know, what I mean, simple as, you know, we're.
Right, you could break it down by
Yeah.
events, you could break it down by emergency situations, you could, like road closures, you can do it by events, you can break
Indeed.
it down, the notices in many different
Paving.
fashions.
When we're doing the paving, you know, instead of putting
Right.
notices on, we can send
Yeah,
notices
you
out.
can set up notification lists either by neighborhood, by village, by, you know.
Yes. I remember a few months ago, Mark, you had asked if we could put out the word in Brookside about the fact that the water was going to be coming around doing different things in the sewer systems. And I really had because we've been unsuccessful gathering very many emails in that matter. And we just aren't really going door to door doing anything right now during COVID. So it was impossible and impractical.
So short of Facebook, there wasn't a way to get the information.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
All right, so this is one format we'll look into. So this is, you know, this is an option that just came to our attention. There's other companies other than this one, but it's just one more form of communication that uses, you know, the latest and greatest. People like to use their phone in text more than anything.
Good.
So we'll look into it.
Pam, thank you. I think this is very helpful. And good
you're
start.
welcome.
Thank you. Senior Center update. I want to thank Mike Jones for sitting in a 3-hour meeting with me at the Senior Center last week. We have the code enforcement officer inspection. We have the architect's inspection. I have an inspection that was done by the executive committee for the Senior Center. So we're going there tomorrow morning at 7:30 to go over this list, these lists. And then Friday is our final with the general contractor. So we're getting very close. Lauren and I are still withholding
You're
money.
breaking up, Mark. It's breaking up. Yeah, try it again.
Really gravelly.
So we're very close. We're getting to the final punch list. We will be doing that Friday, the architect, myself, and then with these 3 lists that I have from code enforcement, from the executive committee, and from the architect, we'll do a walkthrough tomorrow. And then we'll start working on all the finishing credits and changes that were made with the architect. So we're getting very close. I have a meeting on Thursday with the county executive about senior centers to see what his plan is about them opening back up. Once I get some information from the county executive, hopefully, or his team, hopefully we'll be able to put a plan together to give to the senior center to have them start thinking about exactly how they want to open back up and what they want to do. But first, we want to make sure that the county's on board and the state's on board with the plan to reopen that center. But now that it's almost done, we have plumbing inspection, we have electrical inspection, we had fire alarm inspection last week. We've had the code inspection. So we are very, very close. Hopefully by this Friday, we will be done, minus a very minor punch list. In the spring, there is some things that have to be done, painting and caulking and striping and a few other things. But we're very, very close. I want to thank the executive board of the Senior Center, the director of the Senior Center for their patience during this. This has not been ideal. This is one case where, thank God, COVID happened, because this project would have been a nightmare if that center was open. But I want to thank also Mike, Lori, and everybody, Pat, and everybody involved in getting this project done. And last but not least, the trustees, because you supported this bond and this payment to get this project done. It's beautiful, it's functional, and I can't wait to have a ribbon ceremony when we can all get back together to open the center officially. Any questions? Roundtable. I'm going to start at the top. Michael.
I'm good with everything so far.
Good. Dan.
Yeah, I've got quite a few things here. First of all, the other night at 6:45, there was a girl came to my door, wanted, talking about the environment. We gave I guess we gave a permit. She said she had, I think I remember it. She wanted me to sign something. We can't even have meetings, but yet somebody can go door to door and have people sign a petition, and that's exposure as far as I'm concerned. I realize that there's many laws, Tad will back me up, Lori, I'm sure will back me up, that say that we can't prohibit people from doing this. However, in this situation of what's going on now, I think it's pretty bad. I think that the next time somebody comes, I did not realize, and I don't think any of us probably realized when we did issue that permit to go door to door, that it was going to involve somebody signing a petition, you taking a pen, communicating with someone who has been to many other doors. Next thing, what are we doing about the noise? Such with the town.
So I'm asking Ted, if you're on, we had the change of our dusk to dawn information. Ed from the town reached out to me and they were supposed to send a draft copy of the final. Manoa ended up, I think, scheduling a public hearing, or they're going to. Manlius never replied. But I think we were good with it, other than the change of dusk to dawn, which is what we do now. Ted, has Tim Fratelli reached out to you with the draft?
No, I've not heard from Tim. I can try contacting him tomorrow.
Hold on a second. I think Sarah Bollinger is on. I'm going to invite Sarah to talk. Sarah, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you see if Tim can get us a copy of that legislation? Because we were good. We had a meeting with John Deere and all the mayors and the supervisors, the police chief. The only change that we wanted to make, and it's not a huge change, was we just go dusk to dawn. That way, it depends on the year of the season or the time of year. And that was just a little easier than setting 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. So that was the only change that I know we made. But Ted was supposed to get a copy from Tim. So if you could get him to send that to Ted, I'll put it on the next agenda, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Has the town passed it?
Not yet, but it's coming up.
Yeah, we have to have a public hearing, and I'd like to get that process started. Dan, thank you for reminding us.
Okay, next, I
Thanks, Sarah.
really appreciate what the DPW did on the pond, the skating. The kids were very happy, and it's nice to go over there and see a lot of kids having a great time and doing things like that. One of the things that is constantly on my mind, and people ask me all the time, and Ted, if I do this, if I say something that I probably shouldn't say because it might involve us having a public hearing on something, and I probably shouldn't be expressing my views. I'm not going to try to express any views on these situations. But what we have on both sides of the village, at east and west, abandoned or deteriorating property. And it really is something that is bothering me. It's bothered me for a long time. I'm sure it's bothered all of us for a long time. Sometimes there is misinformation put out, and the misinformation doesn't help anything. People will come to me and say this, this, and this, when actually it's just misinformation. We all have to be careful about what we say, especially if we are on a board. As I grew up, and Mark and Mike were here, now when I grew up, they were a little younger, but as I grew up, we had what I would call a quaint little village. We had 3 grocery stores, hardware store, nice post office, 2 or 3 restaurant, bars, whatever. Other times, and at that time, it was very small. The village board at that point, I think, was not only the the lawmaker, but they were also the planning board, and they approved a large area for housing, which happened to be Brookside. And at that point, most people, I guess 250 homes, is that right, Pam?
265.
Okay, 250 plus were built, and there were many people that came and bought those houses, wanted those houses. Nice little quaint village, and all of a sudden, a little quaint village became a little bigger village. And at that point, most of the people that lived in those homes, they had children, and the children either walked to school or if they were lucky enough, they got a ride on a bus. They didn't have parents who then drove them to school, thereby, and Ted, if I'm saying things here, I'm just going to give an explanation of what traffic happened. As that happened, we have traffic, because rather than the kids walking, they don't do that. Rather than the kids riding the bus, they really don't want to do that. We have the parents, so there's traffic. Then we followed with Signal Hill. Signal Hill, once again, more traffic. Everything we do is traffic. Was I part of approving Signal Hill? Yes, I was. I was on the board then, and I'm very happy that we did do it. The only thing is, it created more traffic. Then many of us here were on the board when Briarbrook came about. And what happened? More traffic. And it's not necessarily traffic that is going anywhere. A lot of times it's just people going down to maybe a store, people going to take their kids to school, and so on and so forth. So everything I hear from boards, this board and that board, I hear traffic. I hear a lot of other things. By the way, I read a letter in the last letter to the editor in the Eagle Bulletin, and there was some facts in there that I don't know where they came from, but I don't know how true they are. So anyway, after we get Briarbrook done, guess what appears down the road in Madison County? A lot of homes, traffic. So here we are, we're talking about doing something, and one of the major concerns is traffic. When I was on the board, we had issues with a little shopping center, which we all know now is Fayetteville Square, I think, right next to what used to be Friendly's. And there was all kinds of issues about why would you want to put that in and create a problem. Now it's a place where there's a lot of little stores, a lot of people go to them, and it turned out to be a benefit. But it was at that point, there was some opposition, but every time there was opposition to something, all of a sudden it came about, and then all of a sudden people said, yeah, this is okay. Everybody's happy we have Brookside. Everybody's happy that we have Signal Hill. Everybody's happy that we have Briarbrook. Everybody's probably happy that we have that little Fayetteville Square there. And where Kirby's was, that was another place that came in. There's all kinds of things that took place. So what happens is we have all these things going on, and do people want these things? No, nobody wants anything, because they think that this is a bad thing. This is a bad thing. Well, I don't think, when I say nobody, I'm going to say many don't. What happens is, I don't know, Ted can correct me on this, but I think there's a legal thing that says, I have a solution, now I have to go and find a problem that solution will work for. Well, we have the opposite thing. We have a problem and we don't have a solution. We have two sites, one on the east, one on the west, which are not, none of us are really like that. So I think that what we want to do is there a scare? Do you want to develop a scare tactic? If this happens, all these bad things are going to happen. Well, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question, but I do have this. Let's ask the questions. What can these sites what can be at these sites that will be beneficial for Fayetteville, and most important to the Fayetteville's residents? What possibilities are there? I don't know how to answer any of those questions. I don't have a solution. If I had a solution, then I could go and find the problem. Well, there's a problem right there. So I'm still looking for this. It really bothers me because the things that we have done, especially due to Mark took over the place down there, and we jokingly called it Mark's Park, and we did other things. We have all these other things, and they're nice landscape coming into the village, all kinds of things that we're doing. And now we have two one deteriorated building on the east side and a vacant lot on the west side that we have to take a look at. So even though of all the things that, and most of it has been because of Mark's efforts, we have to put up with these things that, in my opinion, Fayetteville is not the quaint little Jones that it was anymore, but now we have those things that is sort of a deterioration to our village. Sorry I took so long.
Thank you, Dan. Pam?
Way to filibuster there, Dan. No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Dennis?
I just have a couple quick things. One, the CRC committee met this past week and not a lot was, nothing new was really talked about on there, except for, I just want to make a point about what the CRC committee is doing, what it is. They did have the town of DeWitt in force with us this week, and that is a really positive development, as was having JD Schools as part of that committee. And I think it's important to note that the town of Manlius and the villages were the leaders in working together to form this CRC committee. And we are the only one in existence in Onondaga County that we're aware of. And we're probably one of the very few in upstate New York that exists. But it's an incredible group of people that plan and organize together across all these different agencies and functions. And it just goes to show you the kind of relationships we have across small government to help protect us in the event of, what they plan for, some really bad emergencies. So, they're frightening when you think about some of it, but we have these plans in place and we have systems that are designed to help us get through them. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. It's a great group of people and they really do work well together. And then secondly, we all know what's going on with the schools with last year with COVID kind of short circuiting the senior class celebrations and things like that. Well, the same thing is happening to this class, the class of 21. And you all know, full disclosure, I have two kids that are class of 21, so it kind of hits close to home. But there is a group of parents out there. I'm not part of this group. I just know about it. And they are exploring opportunities to try and highlight this class, give them something to be proud of as they go around the two villages. And one of the ideas that they're proposing to the town of Manlius and they've proposed to me, and I shared with you in that letter, was to sort of paint the villages green in a way. So lighting up Beard Park, for example, green, all our fountains when they get put in June. Perhaps it's, lighting one of our trees green in the center of the village. We could come up with all different kinds of ideas, but they would love our support if possible. I did speak to Mark about it briefly. I think it's a great idea. I hope the board's behind it, but I think we're going to need a very small budget. And we can take it out of the parks budget or maybe one of, I don't know where, but maybe a $500 or $750 to maybe buy a banner that goes across Salt Springs, or maybe to buy the lights or whatever we need to have. I think it would be what I would like is the board to authorize up to a certain amount for us to consider as we go along. I really feel like these kids need some recognition. They need some community involvement. And look, these kids aren't suffering as bad as I want to make it sound, but they really are hurting and they don't see each other. They have zero social interaction. It's kind of a rough situation for kids of this age to go through. All the kids in high school for certain, and the younger ones, but the senior class has been through it now twice. So that's what I was hoping the board would consider, something like that. So
Dennis, can you give us a list of your ideas and the potential cost before we say yes, just so we have an idea of what you're thinking?
Yeah.
But again, I've called you and I told you my son went through it last year, and I think that we did a sign, we did the Tree of Hope. We did some other things. If there's anything that we can do to help our families that are
Yeah.
going through this, I think we should absolutely. do
Yeah. Similar things like that, just to,
I
as they
had,
drive around, they'll think, okay, they're thinking of us.
I had a senior last year as well, and I couldn't help but notice what some of the other communities were doing that I can't imagine would have to cost an awful lot with a great deal of impact for these kiddos.
Yeah. And this class has sort of had a double whammy because they lost their junior season. So they lost a lot of the same things that the seniors lose outside of a graduation, but then it's continued on. They're going to lose it again. So it's just, it's not good. You know, it's not good for all these classes, but this one I think is, maybe it's just because it's hitting closer to home for me, but yeah, I'll come up with some ideas and a budget. Believe me, it's not going to be much.
Okay. Good. Anything else, Dennis?
I only would like to say, Dan, I really appreciate you giving us some historical context around how the village has sort of come about. I've been here a little over 20 years in this village. I've been in the community 25 years. I've seen it change tremendously in just that time, but having you lay out how things have sort of evolved over the last 70 years, I think is really impactful. And I think you made some really good points, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Lori?
No, I don't have anything.
Oh, I wish I could see your face right now.
Uh,
Okay. So NICOM is holding a virtual conference. Lori signed me up for it. It's this Thursday. It's our annual conference, but we're doing it virtually. So I'll be attending that. Our mayor's meeting this month is February 24th, and the whole NICOM executive committee will be on that. It would be a Zoom call. So if you guys want to get Lori to send you out an invite to that, I'd appreciate any support, and I think it's going to be a nice call. Our deer culling program has started. We spoke with Green Lakes today. We have some things that we have to work out with access to entrances, same as last year. It's just a road paving that we need to get through and out. But we're working on that. It's going well so far. On February 16th, NICOM is hosting all of our state delegations. So Assemblyman Sturpey, Assemblyman Mannion, Assemblyman Hunter, Senator May, with all the mayors and the electeds in Onondaga County to discuss COVID and all the related state issues, because we can't go to Albany this year. So that will be a NICOM virtual roundtable. As I get more information, I'll be sending that out to all of you. It's 3 o'clock on February 16th. And it's just a good chance for us to meet. We normally go to Albany and talk and meet with all the state delegation about our priorities. This year, we're just doing it virtually because of what's going on with COVID. And the next agenda will be, obviously, we talked about it earlier, number 5. Pam, I will have the street speedway on there so we can discuss the village speed limits on our village streets. And Dan, the noise ordinance law will be added to discussion and set a public hearing. Mike, do you have anything?
Mike Jones.
Okay. So we need an executive session to go into a personnel matter. And okay, so I would like the board to authorize payment pursuant to Judge Greenwood's order dated February 5th, 2021.
Second.
Motion? Moved and seconded.
Second or first?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mike. All in favor?
All right.
Hi.